Hello, welcome back to our third and final day of factoring quadratic expressions. You will still need that same factoring note sheet, a pen or a pencil, and a calculator. And today, our last day, we are going to factor a quadratic expression using difference of squares. So let's check that out. Okay, so part one here's the step-by-step way to do it. It says, make sure there are two terms only and there is a minus sign in between. Okay, so two terms, meaning it has to look like a binomial. Okay, so in the last video, we were dealing with trinomials, meaning there were three terms. In the video before that, we were dealing with polynomials, meaning there were four terms. Okay, poly just meaning more, many. Okay, and now we're dealing with binomials, meaning two. Okay, so two terms. And there must be a minus sign because minus is where this difference comes from. Okay, difference of two squares. Okay, so this is an example, 4x squared minus 25. And then what you have to do is look at the two numbers you have, and both should be perfect squares. So what we mean by perfect squares are numbers that can be square rooted. So here are some perfect square examples. 1 square root of 1 is 1. 4 square root of 4 is 2. 9 square root of 9 is 3, and so on and so forth. So this list goes on and on. 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 100, 81, okay, all of those, 144, all of those are perfect squares because they are, if you take the square root, it's a whole number. So let's go ahead and look, and this example shows that if you take the square root of each of them, so now we're on step 3. So this example shows that if you take the square root of 4x squared, you're going to be left with 2x. And if you take the square root of 25, you're going to be left with 5. So notice that's where these numbers come in. And then you just need to, when you set up the factors in step 4, it just needs to have one set of parentheses has to have a minus sign and one has to have a plus. Okay, so let's go ahead and try one. All right, so if we look at number 1, first of all, we have a binomial, meaning there are two terms. Second of all, 9 is a perfect square, meaning we can square root it and get 3. X squared is a perfect square, meaning we can square root it and get x. And 36 is a perfect square, meaning we can square root it and get 6. Okay, so you guys do have to kind of know your perfect squares for this, but let's go ahead and do that. So if we square root both of these, square root of 9, like I said, was 3. Square root of x squared is x, and square root of 36 is 6. So now you are just going to write that as 3x minus 6 and 3x plus 6. Whoops. And that's it. You're literally done. That's your answer. Okay, so this is usually one of the easier forms of factoring. You just have to make sure that you know your perfect squares. Okay, now I will say that again, you can check your work. So we could FOIL this back out and do 3x times 3x, which is 9x squared. And then you could do your outers, so 3x times 6, which is positive 18x. And then your inners, negative 6 times 3x, which is negative 18x. And then negative 6 times positive 6, which is negative 36. Oops. So what happens here, as you can probably see, is that these in the middle cancel because a positive 18x and a negative 18x is going to cancel, and you're left with 9x squared minus 36. Okay, and so that is kind of a way to check your work that you did it correctly. Okay, and also remember that it only works when we have a binomial with perfect squares and a minus. Okay, let's try another. In this next one, we have a binomial, we have subtraction, we have x squared, which if we take the square root of is just x, and we have 81, which if we take the square root of is 9. So this would be x minus 9, x plus 9. And that's it. That's your answer. Okay. 2 more. Let's go ahead and try these. Next one is a binomial. It's got 16x squared, which if we take the square root of is 4x. And 49, which if we take the square root of is 7. So we would have 4x minus 7 and 4x plus 7. And that's it. All right, so try this next one on your own, see that you've got it, and then this video will be done. All right, hopefully you paused and you tried this one out, and you should have gotten 5x here and 3 here. So 5x minus 3, 5x plus 3. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's short little video about difference of squares, and we'll do some practice tomorrow in class. Have a good one.